Hi there. In our last video, I took my little Land Rover for a bit of a drive to see what sort of condition it was in, and we showed you that Lee had this boat completely pulled apart with the fuel tank pulled out, and it was a bit of a mess. We met the most amazing guy, George, over at NQ Monoholes in Ingham, and what started off with a question about asking about some acid to clean up our centre console turned into pretty much a whole boat upgrade. So we thought we'd take you along for a bit of a ride on what we did, and we'll show you at the end the finished product. Is there anything you want to add?
That's it. Sounds good. Perfect.
It's about 6 o'clock at night. We're here at NQ Monoholes. We've brought in our boat to get some fancy updates done, make it look pretty again. I can tell you now, the quality of work that's going into this is outstanding. See, I did it now.
That's made me feel a lot more comfortable that you just made a blow up straight away.
Oh, I do it all the time. Right. What you see and what happens are two different things.
Good, that's awesome.
We've been fortunate enough to be able to nab George here, the brains and the creativity behind everything you see here at NQ Monoholes and semi-ride plate boats. We were fortunate enough to have him have a look at our boat from the very start, and it was just such a weird start. What happened? I walked in the door.
Yep, you come in the door looking for some acid and how to apply the acid.
And next
I
thing,
offered my services to acid wash the console.
Just the console. That's all we wanted to do, the console.
And it went a little bit further.
What do you think about doing this and that and the rest of it? And
I threw my suggestions in there, and Lee was all over it. So we went ahead and full bore.
Here we are.
what was your first thoughts when you saw the condition after Lee hacked into the fuel tank and pulled the boat apart?
Definitely needed some attention with the cover plate. It was all damaged, and so we did a little bit of work with that. Bit of work on the fuel void just to make it safe. Lee suggested the casting deck, so we nutted out the casting deck.
First of all, a lot of the work that we see here is behind the scenes because it's all underneath the deck.
Exactly
but
right,
it's made it a lot safer because there was water coming through, wasn't there, Lee?
Yeah, we
Isn't
had
that one of your concerns?
deck, so that was the problem for.
Yeah.
So we basically sealed off the deck underneath where the fuel tank sits. Basically made a fuel void, welded that out, and that fuel void drains into the fuel tank.
Yeah.
If there's any issues or any problems.
And if we ever need to pull the fuel tank out for any reason, it's a day's job, not even. Take the console out, tank out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though the fuel tank runs way up underneath the casting deck, we've made a panel that comes out there, and the cover plate's all screwed in.
Originally, our casting deck came to where, Lee?
Probably about here.
Yep, that's exactly right.
About there.
Between your ideas and George's vision, this is what it's turned into.
Yeah, so George made it big enough so we can put our esky in the front here.
185 litres, yep.
It's a massive amount of room, and you can sleep in there if you want. It's huge. And we've got room up the front there. The other small
fridge.
The fridge goes in the front, so we've got room.
With a separate hatch at the front.
Yeah.
Now, we weren't going to get the Evertread, were we? Because we were like, oh, we've spent a bit more than a tin of acid so far. But you convinced us to get the Evertread, and
yeah, it's a great product. I like to support other businesses, and Fibre Finish, they're a great business to deal with, and they do a great job. You can see for yourself.
Yeah, it looks spico.
And you can pretty much put whatever you want in your design. So
100%.
yeah, that worked out really well.
And we also added the steps, so Danny can actually get up there and not fall over.
Yeah, which we saw on the other video.
So we've added the steps, and we've turned those steps into storage boxes.
Yeah, storage underneath for some tackle or whatnot.
And access everywhere, hey. The boat looks like it's been painted.
Yep, we did a full metal finish on the boat, and that's a pretty major job. You know, we basically sanded off the old Nyalic finish.
And that took ages, hey?
Yeah, because the Nyalic's so hard, so we've sanded it with 80 grit, and then 180, and then 240, and then Scotch-Brite, and then acid wash and Penetrol.
process. And when you originally thought about doing it yourself and then actually saw the amount of work that George's crew put into it.
Yeah, I bought a $50 orbital sander from Bunnings. And that was going to be my tool and a bottle of Penetrol. So
12 months
yeah.
later.
Yeah, it would have been 12 months. So,
it's completely different, hey?
Really,
And the good thing about the Penetrol, if you have any scuff marks on it, you know, which you're going to have, you know, mooring at ramps or what have you, it's really easy to touch up. It's just a quick wipe with alcohol product to clean it up, and then wipe another coat of Penetrol on it.
Talk about this awesome looking bait board that
Yeah, that's
George's
samurai,
design.
That's a samurai bait board. That's what we put on our hulls here. So we incorporated that. Lee definitely needed the bait board on the back of this boat.
Yeah, definitely did.
It's got lockable storage, tank holders either side,
Place to hang your
storage
lures.
out the back, place to hang your lures, yep.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
And our custom samurai cutting board. Once again from Fibre Finish. Great business to deal with. Big shout out to Nick at Fibre Finish.
Go on your neck, thank you.
Hey, back to the cleaning up the boat and stuff. One thing that I noticed that Kevy was doing that we didn't expect for the service
Yep.
was he was getting the sander, and I don't know how you call it exactly, but all the rough and ugly edges from the welds and stuff all smoothed down.
He was just smoothing those out,
Yeah, example right there.
Yeah.
That one just there you did.
Shells?
Yeah, just right there. Just
Oh, yep,
taking
yep,
the tops
yep.
off them, just to smooth them out a little bit.
And you multiply that by all over the boat, where everywhere it's been cleaned up.
Yeah, 100%.
And
it all takes time.
yeah, and things like there were rough edges underneath. Kevy's words were basically if you climb up a ladder or kids climb up a ladder and someone bangs their head or puts their hand underneath, they're not going to get it
Exactly
shredded.
right. Nothing worse than a sharp edge.
Yeah. No, it's beyond, well and truly beyond what we expected, hey, well and truly. You guys are obviously passionate about what you do, but you also been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, 100%. But it's not only with our own hulls, you know, like this is not our boat, but we still take the pride and go to the extra effort.
Check out some of these welds. There's some weld porn for those out there. Look at that. Perfect. George, master welder.
Neil Brown, he's our local signwriter, does all our work. He jumped on board and Danny and Lee had the fish designed and Neil printed it out and made it on the side of the boat.
That came out at after hours, hey?
after
Like
hours,
you were under the...
we needed to get it done because we needed to get the Penetrol on it. And yeah, Lee sourced the Surtees decals
Yep,
and
New Zealand,
they were put on,
Straight from the supplier in New Zealand.
And Neil was more than happy to put those on
Neil
and looked after it.
Exactly right.
Professional job of buying for us.
But yeah, wow, what a boat with a 300 Yemi on it, mate. 6.7 metres, beautiful casting deck, out on the reef chasing those big GTs.
That's what we want, eh? Like
Yeah,
lots of
100%.
room, yeah.
On those glassy days, you know, hammer down.
Perfect.
Plenty of storage.
Yeah.
The next project, Lee, what do you reckon when it comes to the boat and trailer or anything else come to
we're
mind?
going to put a couple of seats at the back here for you. So we're going to order a couple of more of these screw-in pedestals. We'll get George to put them in.
Yep.
So you can sit at the back rather than getting bashed at the front. And then we'll do a couple of other little tidy up jobs, like we want to do a bit to the bowsprit, a couple of little pieces, and then we'll work on the trailer as well.
Refill on the trailer, mate,
yeah. The trailer looks rusty, but it's not rusty.
The trailer's in really good condition.
It's just
100%.
NT dust, covered in red dust. So.
Yeah, so it needs a bit of a clean up, a repaint, some
nice checker plate mudguards.
some nice mug, and it'll look schmick, eh? Like be the perfect package.
Yeah.
George, on behalf of Lee and I, we are so thrilled that our paths crossed. And funnily enough, just from the tin of acid, because Lee was going to do it himself, and like, what a crazy idea.
It's taken George a month, it would have taken me 12.
You're more than welcome, and we've created a really good relationship, friendship, and that's what it's all about.
Enki monohulls and samurai plate boats. Look them up on Facebook. Go webpage, hey?
Yep, website, yep. All there.
Which is
inkymonohulls.com.au.
So casting deck, massive casting deck. Plenty of room underneath. We've got 2 hatches, one here, one there. Batteries for the Minn Kota at the front, and room up there, that's where our fridge is going to live. So the fridge will live under that hatch. Second one is the larger of the 2. Under that hatch is big enough to put our big esky in, so heaps of room, plenty of storage. All the drains for the casting deck will drain out here, so any water that gets in there doesn't go inside. That's the theory anyway.
Get the way, Pepsi.
That's pretty much all we did in there. I also did the stairs, the treads as well, steps. So they just get in or out.
Take your time, mate.
Yeah, so there's also access into there as well, and just in case you can't get to the sides of the esky, and storage in here as well, big enough to put plano boxes in, so that's good size. Got to do a few little things yet. Still got to put some seal, some stick-on seal around the edges to get the water out, but I've ordered that. Oh yeah, I got to order some struts for this big door, big hatch. It's a bit of wood, but otherwise. Okay, moving back to the console. We replaced the checker plate console with another piece of Perspex. I've got to tidy up the wiring a bit, but that's Perspex cover. Again, seal on in there, and adjust them once I get that seal on. Also, they changed where the screen goes on. They welded some tabs on inside and with tapped. So I just had bolts going through with little brackets, but they've drilled and tapped with countersunk screws, so it looks a lot better now. I've gone through the console. I've already filled up most of the holes. Seats, obviously we've got new seats for the front for the passengers, a couple there.
And they're removable.
Yeah, it's unscrew the pedestals and we can pull them out. Backs down towards the back. Helm seat has got a stand-up bolster, so you stand up there, or you can pop it down if you need to cruise. I've got to adjust this back a bit, it's a bit tight. I've got to go and see George and get him to offset this a bit. Console, replaced all that industrial plastic with Perspex, and we've put countersunk stainless bolts in there. Replaced the Yamaha digital screen with one I picked up off Gumtree, and also the start button. And I've got a new helm control, but I've got to get a program for this motor, so I'll get that booked in once I get back from work. Other than that, the stereo blocks, I've got to replace that too. So.
It blew up.
Yeah, so the console's all been stripped back, sanded, ready to go. George built us this bait board. It's one of his standard ones, so if anybody's looking for a good bait board, go to George. In monohulls, and that's storage underneath. A lot of usual stuff, rod holders and some drink storage and some bits and pieces for sinkers or lures or whatever in there. Now with the floor, we had, normally these boats have a welded in fuel tank. It's welded in, you need to get them out, you got to cut the floor up. So what we did was modified this one. We put a cavity in it, the fuel tank sits in the cavity, and then it's got a screw-on lid which is sealed. So if we need to take the fuel tank out, I mean it's a bit of a mission, but you can take the console out and that panel, this panel up here, but you can remove the fuel tank, which is a bit of a bonus if you ever have to take the tank out for any reason. George also put us a big plate, welded that in for the console, so it's a lot more solid than the last one. But with that cavity at the front, just in case any water or whatever does get in, I got him to put a pipe from that fuel tank cavity down into here with a bung on it, just there. So if any water gets into that cavity, we can drain it out through there, but that should be okay. We shouldn't get anything in there. Still got a few little things to do, but getting there slowly. Replace this, cover that hole. USB goes in there, a few little things.
So somewhere between Lee's little walkthrough when it's finished and George's walkthrough, we should be able to cover pretty much most of the work that's been done. If you've got any questions at all, pop them below. And if we don't know the answers, we'll ask George from NQ Monohulls, and he'll, you know, get back to us, and we'll pop the answers in there for you. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's about it. Just looking forward to get out going fishing again.
Yeah, it's been a long time,
while,
eh?
yeah.
All right, thanks heaps. Cheers, eh? See ya. Bye.